My brother and I saved a business tycoon's wife. As a reward, the tycoon offered us $30 million or his daughter. He gave us two choices. First, take $30 million. Second, marry his daughter. I heard the tycoon's only daughter was a spoiled princess, so my brother begged me to choose to marry her. But I never expected the tycoon's only daughter to be the school beauty, Victoria Bellwether. After we married, she was completely devoted to me and helped my career soar. Meanwhile, my brother took the money but fell into a gang's trap and ended up imprisoned. Out of jealousy, he plotted against me, only to suffer the consequences of his own actions. When I opened my eyes again, we had both been reborn on the day of the choice. He rushed to choose the marriage contract, but I smiled. $30 million was far better than marrying a troublemaker. I would use this money to build my own business empire. Chapter 1. I choose the second option. I want to marry Victoria Bellwether, my half-brother Finn King eagerly exclaimed. Then, he looked at me. My dear older brother, you wouldn't lose out by picking the first option, right? Yes, he had always been like this. Since childhood, our parents had spoiled him, always giving him the best food and toys first. I always got his leftovers. But this time, I smiled inwardly. I could almost see him, covered in blood, kneeling on the ground, begging pitifully, "Please, stop hitting me, please. Stop hitting me in my past life." If I hadn't been clever and resourceful enough to find Victoria Bellwether's weakness and subdue that lawless, sadistic hellcat, I probably wouldn't have lived a happy life. Consequently, I wouldn't have been envied by Finn and harmed by him, leading to today's rebirth. Facing the choice again today, I already knew what to do. Either option was fine. It all depended on whether this dear little brother of mine still cherished any fraternal affection. Perhaps I could still help him, otherwise he could fend for himself. Sure enough, Finn, true to his rotten nature, eagerly announced what he wanted. But the tycoon, Richard Bellwether, shook his head. "You are the younger brother. He is the older. Let him choose first." Finn panicked when he heard this and grabbed my hand. "Good older brother. Pick the first option. When we get back, I'll tell Mom and Dad that you always give way to me, acting like a true big brother, and get them to treat you better, okay?" Seeing him sweating profusely, terrified I wouldn't agree, I was inwardly overjoyed. "But if you're going to act, you have to commit. So, how do you plan to repay me?" Hearing this, my brother immediately got excited and swore to the heavens, "I swear, once I marry Victoria Bellwether, I'll give you at least $100 million, my dear little brother. I could just die for you," I exclaimed, pulling Finn into a hug and giving him a playful punch. "Ahem, brother, you agree?" Finn, unaware of the scheme, was still immersed in a sea of immense happiness. I nodded, feigning great reluctance. Finn beamed even more broadly. So I chose to take the $30 million and leave, while my brother would marry the tycoon's daughter, Victoria Bellwether. Chapter 2. That evening, we returned home. As soon as Finn walked in, he started shouting, "Mom, Dad, you won't believe the huge news we have to share today." I can't stop smiling just thinking about it. Ha ha ha. After Mom, Martha King heard Finn excitedly recount the whole story. Her face instantly lit up with a smile. "Really, Finny? Is it true? Was it that tycoon, Richard Bellwether? He's letting you marry his only daughter?" Upon Finn's affirmative reply, Mom danced with joy, looking 10 years younger, as if she herself were marrying the tycoon. She paced back and forth in the room, unable to contain her delight. Dad Arthur King was also grinning foolishly nearby. I, on the other hand, feigned immense disappointment, nursing my secret sorrow. Suddenly, Mom turned to me. "Sincere, why do you have such a long face all day? Shouldn't you be happy about your brother's wonderful news? Look at you, you jinx, just looking at you makes me angry." She was about to lash out further when suddenly her eyes darted, her expression shifted to a contorted mix of wanting to cry and laugh. I knew with disgust that she was scheming about me again. Sure enough. "Sincere, your brother is getting married. You're not young anymore either. You should find someone soon. My cousin back in my hometown has a very pretty daughter. I'll bring her over for you to meet someday. And about that money, For your future, I'll help you save the $30 million. Don't go spending it recklessly. This was my stepmother, Martha, who only cared about her son. I remembered in my past life, when Finn got the $30 million, she let him keep it all, but she demanded $50 million from me for Finn, saying it was for his wedding expenses. This life, Reborn, I wouldn't let her have her way. I immediately said, Mom, Finn promised me $100 million. The family won't be short of money. There will be plenty for any wedding expenses then. Her expression changed instantly. What? When did your brother say that? How could he promise you so much money? No, you must have misheard. Finny, Mom's right, isn't she? After saying this, she turned and frantically winked at Finn. Perhaps Finn was so lost in his self-spun dreams that he didn't hear what we were saying and completely ignored Mom's signals. Mom stomped her foot in anger, then helplessly went back to celebrating with Finn. During dinner, Finn raised his glass to me again. Brother, thank you for your generosity today. However, I hope you'll indulge me one more time. I won't treat you unfairly. Oh, what rotten idea was this dear little brother cooking up now? I remained impassive and continued to listen. So, I'm about to marry Victoria Bellwether, but I know she was your classmate and I don't want you to have any connection with her. To put it simply, I don't want her to see you. It would be awkward for everyone. My dear little brother continued to look at me as if to say, just disappear. I nodded and looked at our parents. Mom, Dad, what are your thoughts? Finn's opinion is our opinion, Mom interjected quickly. It was always like this. Dad would open his mouth as if to speak, then say nothing. I pretended to think deeply for a moment. Since you all agree, I suppose I can't object, can I? I glanced around, my gaze finally settling on my dear little brother. All right, as long as you deliver on that promised $100 million, I'll move out. How about that? Finn said, Great, tomorrow I'll go to Victoria Bellwether, get you the $100 million, and you can take the money and leave. Excellent, clean and simple, everyone happy. We drained our glasses together. Ha ha ha, laughter filled the air. My dear little brother, your decision has extinguished my last thought of saving you. You're on your own now. Chapter 3. The next day, $100 million arrived in my account. Finn said it was the wedding money from the Bellwether family, and it was all mine. Mom was very unhappy, but when Finn told her that once he was married they'd have everything, she beamed again. I packed lightly and left the place I had longed to escape. I had already found a place online, far from home, in a quiet corner of a city like Boston, perfect for writing novels. In my previous life, I had written many popular web novels. This life, picking it up again would be easy. I just needed a quiet environment. My plan was to finish the web novel, then ride its popularity to adapt it into movies and TV series. After accumulating enough fame, I'd start a new media company, support new talent, expand my influence, then go public and take it global. Occasionally, I'd check Finn's social media feed. A while ago, he announced his wedding. In the collage of photos, the newlyweds were smiling brightly amidst flowers and wine. But looking closely, the bride, Victoria, still looked arrogant and haughty, while the groom's brow seemed slightly furrowed, his smile a bit unnatural. I smirked. That was more like it. The real show was just beginning. He'd have to fend for himself. Time flew by in a flurry of work. My web novel had surpassed 1 million words. Releasing 10 chapters a day, a total of 30,000 words, undoubtedly created a storm. My popularity shot to #1. All the major charts and trending topics were about my novel. Seeing daily earnings in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, I smiled happily. What made me even happier were the comments on trending topics. How can the tycoon's son be so twisted? How is that sister so smart? Is that mother even his biological one? Controversy was exactly what I wanted. With differing opinions came not only traffic and money, but also when the truth eventually came out, it would be their time of destruction. Just as I was immersed in memories of my past life, writing furiously, chaos erupted back home. Mom called me back, saying something had happened to Finn. That's when I realized Finn hadn't updated his social media feed in a long time. His last posts were about buying a new sports car, a new villa, a new watch. Chapter 4. Back home, Mother Martha's anger finally exploded. "Sincere, your brother's been beaten and hospitalized, and you still have the nerve to be fooling around outside. What does that have to do with me?" Although I had anticipated this outcome, I was surprised it had happened so quickly. "Isn't it all your fault? If it weren't for your $100 million, would Finn be treated like this? Because of that $100 million, he can't hold his head high in the Bellwether family. He has to grovel, living like a dog. This is all your fault. You're the jinx of this family." Mom had lost all reason, only knowing how to vent her anger. She blamed me for everything. Anything she thought was wrong was my fault. I didn't blame her. She only had eyes for money and Finn. I knew this day would come sooner or later. I asked, "How is Finn now? Can I go see him?" She hesitated noticeably, then said, "He's at Mercy General Hospital." In the orthopedics department of the hospital, I saw Finn, completely wrapped in white bandages, only his eyes visible. Mom was crying as she said, "Look at this. What on earth did that Victoria Bellwether do to Finn to beat him up like this? This is a sin." I asked if they had called the police. Mom said the police came, took one look, and left without saying anything. I knew the Bellwether family was powerful and well-connected. This kind of incident was nothing to them, just a matter of spending a little money. At the same time, I also knew that even more insane and perverse retaliation from Victoria Bellwether would follow. My dear little brother, just you wait. In my past life, Victoria Bellwether had been the same, preparing a host of ancient, brutal tortures for me. Looking at her perverse torture chamber, as large as a soccer field, I still shuddered at the memory. Victoria Bellwether was a spoiled, willful princess. Whatever caught her fancy, she'd pursue. Hearing that ancient tortures were fun, she had her father build a torture ground just to play with people. She had ruined countless rich playboys and decent young men. As a result, within their circle, anyone who heard the name Victoria Bellwether would pale at the mention. Her father always paid to smooth things over, making her even more reckless. Finn was merely her plaything, to be toyed with according to her whims. The only reason I was able to handle her was because, during a struggle, I accidentally tickled her armpits. She couldn't stand being tickled and surrendered, obediently letting me do as I pleased. But I believed that my wimp of a brother, Finn, would surely be crushed by the Bellwether family's power and money, too scared to resist in any way. This would only make Victoria find him more boring and bully him even more fiercely. This was a lesson that Finn, that spoiled child, would never understand. Thinking this, I looked at Finn's resentful eyes, leaned close to his ear and said, "Little brother, regretting it now?" Finn clearly struggled for a moment, but then let out a cry of pain and clamped his mouth shut, eyes squeezed tight. Seeing the sparks of fire in his eyes, I knew he was furious. Ha! I was ecstatic. Knowing Finn's personality, he wouldn't, and wouldn't want to, admit defeat in front of me. He would definitely try to salvage the situation, go beg Victoria Bellwether, and try to reconcile. Ha! Just wait. You've got a lot coming to you. Chapter 5. After returning, I continued with my plan. Daily updates of 30,000 words, my novel went viral. Major VCs came knocking, wanting to invest in me. Eventually, I settled on an investment, $1 billion for a 30% stake, meaning my personal valuation was at least $3.3 billion. I quickly established the company as agreed, hired staff, and was incredibly busy. The new company recruited many top talents in the industry, adopting a franchise model. That is, on my company's platform, they could set up personal columns, write their own novels, publish their own videos, do live stream e-commerce, run advertisements, in short, do whatever they deemed right, as long as it met traffic and legal bottom lines. Initially, the platform provided traffic and advertising support, essentially paying for their promotion. When they developed and attracted a large number of readers and users, it would be my time to reap the rewards. Soon, 3 months later, the company exploded in popularity within the industry. Boosted by the investment firm, the company quickly made a name for itself. Hordes of influencers, readers, users, and advertisers flocked in. Monthly revenue soared from an initial $1 million to $10 million to $100 million to $1 billion and continued to climb. I often couldn't help but wonder if I was dreaming. I didn't forget about my dear little brother either. During this time, I could still see his social media feed updating. Check out my new car, that Porsche sports car is old news. The more I look at this Bentley, the more I love it. Isn't my wife adorable? Look at this pose, just like a heavenly angel. Busy lately, can't take calls. Leave a message if it's important. The last one was like this. I'm a dad, ha ha ha. So happy starting to serve my wife wholeheartedly now. Do not disturb. In the collage of photos, there were various pose shots of the two of them. The woman, Victoria, was arrogant and imperious, while Finn was bowing and scraping like a servant, forcing a smile that only those who knew him could tell was strained. I knew it was time to make my move. Chapter 6. I made an excuse to return home to pick up some things and saw Finn, who was recuperating there. Finn was sitting on the sofa, one arm in a sling, his face pale. He looked quite wretched. When he saw me enter, a flicker of surprise crossed his eyes, but he quickly masked it. Well, if it isn't Mr. Busy Bee himself. What brings you back? He tried to force a smile, but his tone was dripping with sarcasm. I chuckled, didn't take his bait, and sat down directly in front of him. Little brother, looking at you, it seems life isn't treating you too well. He froze for a moment, then snorted coldly, whether I'm doing well or not is none of your business. Aren't you just here to laugh at me? How could you think that? I looked at him with feigned surprise. I'm very concerned about you. After all, we're brothers. Hearing my words, a complex expression flickered across his face, but he quickly reverted to coldness. Brothers? Don't forget, you were the one who chose the money first. Everything you have now I gave to you. I smiled, didn't refute him, but took a business card from my pocket and handed it to him. Little brother, take a look at this. He took the card, puzzled. After just one glance, his eyes widened. This is your company? I nodded. That's right, this is my company. I'm now a boss worth billions. And you? Still slaving away for that woman, Victoria Bellwether. Is it worth it? He was stunned, apparently not expecting me to say that. After a long moment he snapped back, an angry expression on his face. Are you mocking me? You think you're so great just because you have some money? Let me tell you, I'm doing just fine. I don't need your pity. Seeing his angry face, I laughed inwardly. But I knew it wasn't time for a showdown yet. So I stood up and patted his shoulder. Little brother, don't get so worked up. I'm just here to show my concern. If you need help, feel free to come to me. After all, we're family. With that, I turned and left the house, leaving Finn sitting alone on the sofa staring blankly. I knew he was already wavering. Victoria Bellwether's perverse behavior and my success had made him start to doubt his choices. Next, it was just a matter of waiting for the right moment to close the net. Chapter 7. Leaving home, I went straight to the Bellwether residence to find Victoria Bellwether. This life, I would ensure she met a terrible end too. How satisfying and thrilling it would be to see her submit at my feet again. I arrived at the Bellwether estate's main gate, took a deep breath, and composed myself. Then, I rang the doorbell. Shortly after, the door opened. Who are you? What do you want? A man looking like a bodyguard asked, watching me warily. My name is Sincere King. I'm here to see Victoria Bellwether, I said calmly. Looking for Miss Bellwether? What is it regarding? The bodyguard's tone softened slightly, but he remained vigilant. It's about Finn King. I paused deliberately, observing the bodyguard's reaction. I'd like to speak with her in person. Hearing this, the bodyguard frowned slightly, then said, Wait here, I'll inform her. A short while later, the bodyguard returned. Miss Bellwether will see you. I followed the bodyguard into the Bellwether mansion, through a luxurious living room, to a secluded garden. In the center of the garden, Victoria Bellwether was sitting on a white wicker chair, a glass of red wine in her hand, swirling it leisurely. Seeing me approach, she put down her wine glass, a cold smirk playing on her lips. "Well, if it isn't Sincere King, what brings you to my humble abode?" I walked up to her and looked her straight in the eye. "Victoria Bellwether, I'm here to talk to you about Finn King." Hearing my words, a playful smile appeared on her face. "Finn? That good-for-nothing? What about him?" Looking at her arrogant demeanor, rage burned within me, but I struggled to remain calm. "Victoria Bellwether, don't go too far. Finn is your husband. You should respect him." "Respect him?" Victoria laughed as if she'd heard the funniest joke. "Why should I respect him? He's nothing more than a plaything in my hands." I clenched my fists, but I knew it wasn't the time to lose control. "Victoria Bellwether, what you're doing won't end well. Finn already regrets it. He doesn't want to be with you anymore." "Regrets it? Ha 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 ha." What a joke. Victoria's smile suddenly turned hideous. "It's too late for regrets, let me tell you, Sincere. Even if he knelt before me and begged, I wouldn't let him go looking at her crazed state." I sneered inwardly. This arrogant woman had finally shown her true colors. "Victoria Bellwether, don't forget, everything you have now was given to you by your father. Without him, you are nothing." Victoria's face turned crimson with anger. She shot up from her chair, pointing at me and roaring, "Sincere King, how dare you speak to me like that? Do you have a death wish?" I looked at her coldly without speaking, my heart filled with satisfaction. This woman was finally provoked. Next, it would be time for me to close my net. I chuckled softly and shook my head. "Victoria Bellwether, do you think you're still the young miss who can do whatever she pleases? Let me tell you, your good days are over. Finn has decided to leave you. Moreover, he possesses many of your undisclosed secrets. If these secrets were made public, just imagine the consequences you'd face." Victoria's face turned deathly pale upon hearing my words. Her voice trembled as she said, What did you say?" "Finn, he dares." Seeing her terrified expression, I felt a surge of pleasure. "Whether he dares or not, you can find out by trying. Victoria Bellwether, I advise you to watch your step and stop doing those outrageous things. Otherwise, what awaits you is legal punishment and public condemnation." With that, I turned and left the garden, leaving Victoria standing there, stunned. I knew I had successfully planted a seed of fear in her heart. Next, I just had to wait for the right moment to push her and her family into the abyss. Chapter 8. Leaving the Bellwether estate, I was in high spirits, as if I could already see Victoria Bellwether's doom. I knew Finn was wavering now. He would definitely come to me for help, and I just needed to wait for him to come knocking. Sure enough, just as I expected, the next day Finn appeared at my company's entrance. He looked somewhat haggard, his eyes filled with confusion and helplessness. "What brings you here?" I asked, feigning surprise. I want to talk to you," he stammered. "Talk about what?" "About how you're going to continue being Victoria Bellwether's dog." I sneered at him. "No, that's not it," he hastily denied. "I regret it. I don't want to be with her anymore. She's too terrifying." Seeing his frightened state, I felt a surge of pleasure. This once arrogant rich playboy finally knew fear. "So, what do you want to do now?" I asked deliberately. I want to leave her, but I don't dare. She has dirt on me. If she finds out I want to leave, she'll definitely retaliate," he said, his voice trembling. "Oh, is that so? Then why come to me?" "Did you think I would help you?" I sneered. I know you resent me, but I'm truly at a dead end now. Only you can help me," he pleaded, looking at me. Looking at his pathetic state, I felt a sense of satisfaction, but I knew it wasn't time yet. I couldn't let him off so easily. "Help you? Why should I help you? Have you forgotten how you treated me back then?" I looked at him coldly. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you like that, but I regret it now. I really don't want to live that kind of life anymore. Please help me," he begged, tears streaming down his face. Seeing him weep, I felt a surge of pleasure, But I knew it wasn't time yet. I couldn't forgive him so easily. I wanted him to taste what I was capable of. I can help you, but you have to agree to one condition. I paused deliberately. You have to tell me every secret you know about Victoria Bellwether. He was stunned for a moment, then nodded eagerly. Okay, I promise. As long as you help me, I'll tell you everything. Seeing his eagerness, I laughed inwardly. This foolish little brother. Did you think knowing Victoria Bellwether's secrets would allow you to threaten her? You're wrong. In this world, only those who possess true power can do as they please. And you're merely a pawn in my hand. Chapter 9. My company was expanding rapidly. Through mergers and acquisitions, its assets exceeded $1 billion, with a valuation reaching $50 billion. Finally, after 6 months, it successfully went public. On the first day of trading, its market capitalization rivaled that of the top tech giants. My net worth instantly surpassed that of Richard Bellwether. With the company on the right track, one day, I picked up the phone. It's time to act. The next day, all new media outlets, newspapers, and websites were reporting negative news about the Bellwether Group, tax evasion, monopolistic practices, concealing injuries caused by forced demolitions, and so on. In particular, news of Victoria Bellwether's perverse actions, which had led to multiple people being disabled, shocked, and unsettled the public. Public opinion overwhelmingly condemned the Bellwether Group's despicable behavior. The Bellwether Group's stock plummeted in response. Under the pressure I orchestrated, its stock hit limit down day after day, continuously falling, with no buyers interested. The Bellwether Group couldn't recover. It couldn't secure loans. Banks called in their loans, leading to a break in the capital chain and ultimately collapse. They had to sell off assets at a loss, and I quietly acquired them all. Seeing no hope of turning the group around, Richard Bellwether had to declare bankruptcy and sell off all his shares. In the end, I successfully acquired the entire company. It was time to pay a visit to my dear sister-in-law. What greeted my eyes was a scene of decay. They had moved out of their former luxurious palace-like estate spanning dozens of acres, and were now crammed into a rented old 50-square-meter apartment in a multi-story building. Only Richard Bellwether, Eleanor Bellwether, and Victoria Bellwether were there. All servants and bodyguards had been dismissed. Long time no see. How is everyone? I walked into the room with a light step. Chapter 10. Why are you here? Richard Bellwether stared at me in astonishment, as if he had seen a ghost. His face was pale, his eyes filled with fear and unease. Eleanor Bellwether was also stunned. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Her eyes were full of despair, as if she had already foreseen the impending doom. Victoria Bellwether, however, glared at me furiously, her fists clenched, her whole body trembling. Sincere King, you bastard, what are you doing here? Did you come to laugh at us? I glanced at her contemptuously, then looked around at the dilapidated surroundings. It seems you're not doing too well. This place, compared to your former mansion, is a world apart. Richard Bellwether gave a bitter smile. Sincere King, you are now our biggest creditor. What more do you want? Do you really have to push us to a dead end? Push you to a dead end? I chuckled coldly. Mr. Bellwether, Victoria wasn't saying that before. Didn't she vow to annihilate us back then? Why the change of tune now, blaming me? Eleanor Bellwether suddenly broke down crying. Sincere King, I beg you, please let us go. We have nothing left now. What more do you want? Looking at her tear-streaked face, I felt not a shred of sympathy. Let you go? This world is harsh. Whoever has the bigger fist calls the shots. Victoria suddenly lunged at me, trying to hit me, but I grabbed her wrist. Victoria Bellwether, don't think I'm Finn whom you can bully as you please. Right now, I could make your family of 3 disappear from this world in minutes. Hearing my words, her body trembled violently, and she slumped to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. Looking at the miserable state of the 3 of them, I felt a surge of pleasure, but I knew this was far from enough. I wanted them to taste true despair. Mr. Bellwether, Mrs. Bellwether, you've always loved money, haven't you? Unfortunately, even if you had money now, you'd have nowhere to spend it. I took a check from my pocket and waved it in front of them. This is your final list of debts. If you can't repay this amount— I paused deliberately, then sneered. Then you can just wait and see how the court deals with you. With that, I turned and left the dilapidated little apartment, leaving the family of 3 crying in each other's arms. The moment I stepped out of the apartment, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief and exhilaration. Not only had I ruined their reputation, but I had also made them taste despair. No, even greater despair was yet to come. Chapter 11. Victoria Bellwether was pregnant, her belly growing day by day. The family clearly couldn't support her expenses. They took the initiative to find Finn King, demanding he negotiate. Finn came to me, hoping I would take charge. Seeing my once arrogant and domineering younger brother in such a miserable state, I couldn't help but feel a malicious glee. The door creaked open. Finn stood at the entrance. I was beside him, coldly observing the wretched Bellwether trio. Their former arrogance and dominance had turned to ashes. Richard Bellwether had aged considerably. Eleanor Bellwether's face was etched with sorrow, and Victoria Bellwether's belly was prominently swollen, her pride shattered by reality. Finn, sincere, we've come to talk, Richard Bellwether said with difficulty, his voice betraying endless exhaustion. A cold smirk touched my lips. Talk? What qualifications do you have to talk to me now? A flash of anger appeared in Victoria's eyes, but it was quickly drowned by despair. Finn, sincere, I know we wronged you in the past, but now, I beg you, for the child's sake, please let us go. I glanced at her, my heart unmoved. The child? You think I'll let you go because of this child? Eleanor Bellwether suddenly knelt on the floor, weeping bitterly. Sincere, we truly know we were wrong. We're willing to be your slaves. We just beg you to give us a way to live. I looked at them coldly, my heart filled with the satisfaction of revenge. A way to live? Why didn't you think about giving me a way to live back then? Richard Bellwether closed his eyes, tears streaming down his aged face. Sincere, what will it take for you to let us go? I smiled, took a piece of paper from my pocket and threw it in front of them. Sign this and I'll give you a way out. Victoria picked up the paper and read it, her face instantly turning ashen. It was an extremely harsh agreement. Signing it was tantamount to signing away their lives in servitude. Her voice trembled. No, we can't sign this, I sneered. Not signing? Fine. Then you can just wait and see how the court deals with you. Hearing my words, Richard and Eleanor Bellwether felt their hearts twist in pain. They looked at each other, their eyes filled with despair, but in the end they silently picked up a pen and signed their names on the agreement. Finn remained silent throughout. He knew he was nothing, which was, for him, a bitter irony and torment. Watching them sign the agreement, I felt a surge of elation. I had finally avenged myself against the 3 Bellwethers who had once oppressed me. I turned and left the small apartment, the sound of the family's desperate cries behind me. I knew that from now on their lives would forever be overshadowed by me, and I, holding that agreement, left the apartment in high spirits. I knew I had completely won this struggle, and now controlled the fate of the 3 Bellwethers. Next, I just needed to torment them step by step according to the terms of the agreement. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Then I strode towards my luxury car parked outside. I knew my future would be even brighter and more glorious, while the 3 Bellwethers would never escape my control. As for this dear little brother of mine, due to our parents' desperate pleas, I spared his life for the time being and sent him off to a remote rural area to fend for himself. Even though I knew he was also a reincarnate, so what? Destiny is always best held in one's own hands. That's the only way. Crushing him would be a matter of minutes.